Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free range human show choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live here on 1039 WYAB, the 50,000 megawatt flamethrower, right here in central Mississippi. M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. That's right. I can still do it. I can still spell Mississippi all these years later. Welcome in. We're streaming worldwide over on the Mazda of Jackson live stream this morning here in central Mississippi. You can find it over on X, YouTube. And so X and YouTube at SaveJXN and at Clay Edwards Show on Facebook, Rumble, and Twitch. Facebook, Rumble, and Twitch. We will possibly cut the Facebook feed off after the first segment. If I remember, my goal is to just remind you to follow us on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, move over to X or move over to YouTube. That is a much better viewing experience. Trust me. Plus, I don't want to have any content detrimental to the community standard violations. And with that, this entire show is a community standard violation constantly. So, anyway, good morning. Hope everybody's doing good out there. If you want to text the show this morning, I promise we will read text messages today. I do. I promise. Pinky promise. Scout's honor. You can text the Ellis Autoplex text line, 769-241-1944, or FOFO for those that don't know how to say 4. 601-769-2144. You can call the show, 601-879-0002. The only catch is no blocked numbers. I will not answer blocked numbers. Gotta call from a number that pops up on the caller ID. Accountability matters. If you're going to come on here and you're going to say certain things, well, there's going to be consequences and repercussions, my friends. And that's going to be me putting your phone number out on blast if you come on here and you do anything foolish. All right. I think that's got us caught up on the business. Oh, yeah. Well, of course, we're always brought to you by, we're powered by the free testosterone screenings over at Live Better Men's Health and Wellness. Text my name, CLAY, or call 601-633-9017 today and get a free testosterone screening, fellas. Get your life back. Get your sex drive back. Get your oomph back, your motivation. Sleep better, bigger muscles, burn fat, all that, potentially. All right, let's jump into it, man. I want to, before I bring my co-host in this morning, Creston Burch, he is here in the studio with me. Before I bring Creston in, I want to hit up a story that I did a live stream about last night. I'm not going to go into all the details, like people's names and all that, except this one person who I have the screenshot up of. But this fella who has been sending me threats for years, crazy guys. I mean, he's got full-blown CDS, Clay derangement syndrome. I mean, just and it's weaved in with his Trump derangement syndrome because he can't make a post without saying both of our names. Crazy fella, crazy black fella. He just hates the way I say the word black. It just makes him mad. He loses sleep over it. Obviously, well, y'all may have seen this story floating around about the fella. I just heard our news guy Chris Davis mention it here in the news break leading into the show. There was a white man. He don't look like a white guy. He definitely looks like one of those white guys. It looks like he participates in the culture ride over there with the culture riders. But all that aside, he definitely looks like a Simon City Royal, which if y'all know me, I ain't down with that. I ain't down with the FUBU wearing white folks. But so he got caught breaking in a house over in Rankin County a couple nights ago, had a standoff with Rankin County police. And look, I don't know why. I guess because he's white and he must think we're all related. The jokes write themselves. But Kevin Robinson says they caught Clay Edwards' brother. And he made sure so there ain't no confusion about which Clay Edwards, because that saved Jackson. He says the guy's name's Christian Banks Lane II in Rankin County. Clay always loves running his big MAGA Trump mouth and crime in Jackson. I think he meant to say about crime in Jackson, but you can't expect a culture writer to get through a whole paragraph without making some kind of grammatical error. Then he says, well, his family got caught by over 15 Rankin County sheriff and other law enforcement agencies. And guys, obviously, I don't always respond to everything I see about me on the internet, but every now and then a dumbass story goes viral because, well, the culture writers are so desperate to get something on me to make it look like I'm a hypocrite. Oh, they want so bad for me to have a brother out here committing crimes, breaking in houses, having standoffs with the police. Now, first of all, y'all know I'm plugged in with the Rankin County Sheriff's Department. I'm in like Flynn. I'm a junior goon squad member. I would have just made a phone call and say, hey, y'all leave my damn brother alone. I don't care what he did. Leave my brother alone. And they'd have gone. That'd been it. Game over. They'd have scattered like flies. Y'all know it. I know it. He know it. She know it. Everybody know it. Plugged in like that. But, and this is a big but, I don't have a brother. Not a half brother. Not a whole brother. Not a step brother. Not a brother from another mother. Currently. He died. My brother from another mother. Rest in peace, Corey. I got some close friends that are approaching brother status. I do. But you can't force it. It's just got to happen. They're busy, opening new restaurants and whatnot. Law firms. So, with that said, I do not have a brother. So therefore, my brother could not have broke into a house. What I thought was funny was the usual crew. The Loon Squad, instead of the Goon Squad, the Loon Squad. They're the Goon Squad, derangement syndrome sufferers. The Foot Locker crew, the Brady List Mississippi crew. Man, they took this and they ran with it. And I was just thinking to myself, the audacity of one of these guys, the clown up in North Mississippi, the Brady List clown. This guy is talking about somebody's brother, alleged brother, getting arrested. He made a post, said, what was it he said? Can anybody confirm or verify that Clay Edwards saved Jackson, host of the Clay Edwards show? Can anybody confirm that this is his brother? No, but we confirmed your brother is about a 6-time, multiple time at minimum, arrestee. I don't know how many convictions, but I know he got arrested a whole lot for a lot of bad things. And I went over all of that in a video I made last night, so we're not going to do that here on the air this morning because I do separate my personal stuff from the radio, so we won't be saying any of their names on this show. But if you want to go to my YouTube channel or my X channel and you want to watch the full video where I ran through his arrest record and his brother's arrest record, since we were so anxious to talk about somebody's brother getting arrested, well, we talked about the two brothers up there in North Mississippi that are suing Panola County Sheriff's Department. So we went over their arrest records. And both of them, oddly enough, Creston, I got you on mic here anyway. Creston, you find it just a little weird that not one but two brothers, now multiple years apart, both got arrested for indecent exposure?
Say that again?
Both brothers on their record have an indecent exposure. They both have writ to custody, one of them has multiple writ to custody charges or whatever you want to call it. And then both of them have, indecent exposure.
Some things do run in the family.
I was like, man, just doing, well, I mean, there's only so much we can say on the radio, right?
Right.
Are they public performers? Public self-satisfiers?
Must have been, and depending on who they were. satisfying too, it could be even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I vision is like that scene with John Cusack out in front of the yard holding up the old 80s jam box.
Yep.
And at the girl's window, except instead of a jam box, it was them, da-da-da, out in front of some girl's house or something. That's how I vision that.
That's the picture you have in your head.
Sadly.
Well,
unfortunately, I like to get it out.
Can I now sue them for mental anguish for that picture being put into my head?
Well, I mean, everybody's suing everybody nowadays. I guess you can.
Huh?
I just thought it was funny, like all the nonsense aside. I thought it was funny because, there's all this stuff right now about, suing people for just knowingly spreading lies and cloaking it as allegations. And I just thought, they don't have anything to get. Now, a couple of them are suing state agencies and federal governments and stuff for money they're never going to win. I thought it would be fun to sue them. Yeah, I did. But at the end of the day, I don't want to clog up the legal system with frivolous lawsuits. Because I don't find them frivolous at all. I think it's time to start making examples out of people. But also, I like my money. And I don't want to part with my money knowing I'm not going to get any back for a lawsuit. Yes, there are moral victories. And then there's just throwing good money at the bad money, right?
Yeah, find something better to do with your money.
Right. And when nobody has anything to get, it ain't like a lawyer's doing it pro bono.
No.
It's like they don't have
they got kids to feed too, as they say.
Right. They got just not going to work for free. They're not going to work for free, nor would I expect them. These people don't have nothing. They're trash. They got their little moment. They get me to talk about them. Congratulations. But I didn't say your names on the radio show. You only got your names spoken on the podcast, on the internet only thing. Because remember, everybody can't have a radio show. I do. You don't. Let's take a break real quick. This is the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. When we come back, we are finally going to get to some WNBA talk amongst some other things that we just keep punting and punting and punting down the road here. And, man, this Muslim judge, well, she's a Muslim attorney too. This Muslim judge thing, it ain't going away. People are mad. I mean, people that you wouldn't expect to be mad. Normies are mad. Hell, I found out last night my girlfriend's read the Quran. I mean, she had a lot of thoughts on it. So that was very, very encouraging. So I just very surprised at the amount of people who are really upset about it. Like I said, they have woke up some normies with this one. They really have. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the fallout, the guilt tripping that the media is trying to do to people for having the audacity to care. And we'll speculate. Who could be responsible for this woman getting this appointment? Right? This didn't just happen in a bubble. This wasn't just she's the best person for the job, even though she lives nowhere near here. There's more to this, in my opinion. We'll speculate wildly. Allegedly, of course. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Creston, Burch, 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. Streaming worldwide on the Mazda of Jackson live stream over on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch, either at SaveJXN or at Clay Edwards Show. You can find it on one or the other. This segment brought to you by, if this text message is correct, it is the fried or grilled pork chop today, McBee's Bar and Grill. Right there, Lake Harbor Drive, Ridgeland, Mississippi. McBee's has been buzzing the Riz since 1982. Me and Michael Wimberly, the owner there, it kind of coined it the last great Gen X dive bar. It really is. And when I say Gen X, I mean because it opened in 82, I believe buzzing the Riz since 1982. Duh. It opened in 82. And right as Gen Xers were turning into kids, and some Gen Xers are older than others. And so it's been around. Then you have a Martin's that's been around since 1953, and it's just a legendary dive bar. I don't think it's just Gen X, where I think McBee's is one that was opened in the Gen X era. So we call it Gen X dive bar, if that makes sense. At least it does to me. But with all that said, Michael and his team have done a phenomenal job over there. The place looks great. Food's great. Service is even better, if that's possible. They got the big patio out back. I know it's hot outside, but it's covered. It's got the big-ass fans. No, literally, that's what they're called, big-ass fans. It's got even bigger TVs out there, 100-inch TVs. It's awesome. They have live music here and there. You can have private events on the back if you want to, or you can just go sit out there and enjoy the weather if you like that kind of stuff. It's nice year round. It really is. And I'm a guy that doesn't care for non-air conditioned patios or period. If I'm going to eat, I want air conditioning blowing on me. But it's nice out there with the fans and everything. So swing by McBee's today, Lake Harbor Drive. Check out the fried or grilled pork chop. And look, if that's not your jam, you can do hand-battered country fried steak. You can do hamburger steak with gravy or no gravy. You can do grilled chicken breast. And, of course, the full menu is available. I constantly tell you about the club, but don't sleep on the burgers at McBee's. You know, we talk about them a lot, but the wine burger, the build-your-own burger, the Saturday morning burger, I think is what it's called, Saturday morning. They ought to call it the hangover burger. That's really what it is, the hangover burger. It's got a fried egg on it. It's great for a hangover. It's got bacon on it, too. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know it's good for a hangover. Trust me, that, a Bloody Mary, you'll be right back at it, ready to roar. Rawr. Don't forget, before I get too far off track here, this Sunday, the all-new McBee's Lakeside opens up right there at Lake Caroline. They've done a great job getting this place ready. I hadn't even been over there to see it, but I've been following it online. Really looking forward to getting over there and checking that out. And my birthday's Monday, so I may swing by there Sunday and do a little birthday lunch or brunch or something or another. All right, that's McBee's, Lake Harbor Drive today. And coming up Sunday, Lakeside, Lake Caroline. All right, Creston.
Yes, sir.
What did I say we were going to talk about? Oh, yeah, I got something I want to hit here real quick. I missed it yesterday. We talked about the Crazy 8. It was the grand opening anniversary of Crazy 8, 25 years since we opened that thing up. And I found one of my old flyers. Actually, I found a bunch of them, but this is the only one I posted. So if you're watching on the Mazda Jackson live stream, here's one of the flyers that I have left over from the Crazy 8 days. That's 25 years old right there. It says College Night every Thursday and Saturday, $7 cover, free pitchers of beer, and $1.50 lawn necks all night long. Man, we packed it out with that one too, by the way. And you wouldn't believe how many people cried about the $7 cover, because most places had always just been a $5 cover.
Yeah.
We bumped it to $7. You'd have thought we bumped it to $20. I ain't paying $7. I'm like, it's free beer.
That's a lot of money back then, man. A lot of money.
Like, it's free beer. A pitcher of beer cost $7 back then. You know, but anyways, we ended up twisting their arms, turning them upside down, shaking them, and getting the rest of the money from them. But I thought that was fun. So we celebrated that a little bit yesterday. And I was reminded, and I forgot that the dates coincided, but something a lot less fun was it's the 15th anniversary of Warrant frontman, original Warrant frontman, Jani Lane. 15th anniversary of his death. Tragic death there, man. Jani was found dead in a Hollywood hotel, alcohol poisoning. Just the rise and fall of such a talented frontman, amazing songwriter. That's a guy that if he could have battled his demons and survived he didn't get a chance to make it to the big nostalgia rebirth of the 80s. See, he did some of those Poison nostalgia tours. He did one of them anyway, but he just couldn't battle his demons. And but I believe now, if he could have survived, they would be just as big as ever. Heck, they're almost just as big as they were back in the day with the backup lead singer. Or not a backup, but a replacement singer now. But anyway, sad stuff. One of my first concerts ever, Warrant was the opening band. I guess my second concert ever. It was the Motley Crue Dr. Feelgood tour. Warrant was the opening band. And I remember they was on their first album cycle, the Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich album cycle. And their song, Sometimes She Cries, was the number one song on whatever version of TRL they had back in the 80s. I don't know if it was called Total Request Live or whatever, an MTV show. And I remember him talking about that on stage. It's funny the little things you remember, little brain holes you have for stuff. But I remember when Warrant played here, opening for Motley Crue, they had the number one video in the country on MTV. So that was pretty cool. And then, of course, saw them again on the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour where they were the headliner of the Cherry Pie album cycle. And they had Firehouse and Trickster open for them at the Coliseum. Really, one of the best-looking, coolest stages I've ever seen. It was like a big W. Really neat. And just great talent, man. And I'd have loved to have seen what he could have done, maybe being a songwriter in Nashville. The guy had so much talent. Really sad. First big show I ever was a part of as a promoter. Chip, myself, several other guys, when Chip had the place next to Shuckers out on the reservoir, Buffalo Chips, we brought Warrant to Jackson, or to Original, whatever you want to call it, 99, I think, 99 or 2000. And, you know, it didn't have all the original members, but Jani was in the band. Eric and Jerry, the other two guys, were in the band. They had like another guitar player and a different drummer. But anyway, it was real cool. All the guys are really neat. I only met Jani for like 2 seconds. He wasn't in good shape then, but just when he got on stage, he was able to turn it on. So that was cool. That was my only time I got to meet Jani. I've met the other guys several times since, but I only got to meet Jani once, and it was out there. But Warrant played Jackson a lot, man. They played the clubs here before they blew up. They played the Town Creek a lot. They were good friends with Skipper and Sally and that crew that ran the Town Creek Saloon downtown there, which is Babes now. So they had a lot of history here in Jackson, and just good folks, man. One of our very own, I call him our very own, Mr. Stevie Blaze from Lillian and Axe. Rumors are that Jani was either going to possibly be the singer of Lillian and Axe, or Stevie was going to join Warrant, depending on which rumor you believe. Jani had all these great songs written. Then it all ended up becoming big hits. And I always thought to myself, what if that those two had got together? The guitar virtuoso that Stevie was, and Jani, the prolific songwriter that he is. But anyway, we got two great bands instead of one. So I guess it all worked out for the better. I just wish Lillian Axe could have been a little bit bigger. But, you know, whatever, the song's still the same either way. So we got the music. All right, but yeah, that's sad. Rest in peace, Jani Lane. So much of my childhood and my teen years listening to Warrant, still listening to Warrant. They're probably depending on what day, second or third favorite hair band of all time. It's Poison 1. Warrant, Motley Crue, kind of flip-flop 2, 3. I guess you got to give it to Motley Crue for number 2. Just too many good albums, too many good songs, and the fact they're still all out there today for the most part, minus Mick Mars, who just can't tour anymore. And then Warrant would be 3. And I like Def Leppard. They got a lot of great songs, but I think Def Leppard 4. And that's really it for me on the hair band. I love a lot of them, but I think as far as the big ones, I say Poison, Motley, Warrant, then maybe Def Leppard 4. Let's do this. We got a few minutes here. Let me make a change here real quick. Let's pull Creston into the screen here, get him tuned up. Fix that real quick. There we go. Creston, we got anything interesting going on in the live chat this morning?
A little bit here and there, but a lot of people are talking about your Warrant Poison combination there.
Then Poison, Warrant also. I forget. Warrant also opened for Poison on their Flesh and Blood tour, on the early touring cycle for Cherry Pie. So I saw them with them also. And then they came as a headliner later on that album cycle for the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour. And what was funny, the next night after the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour here, the next night they played the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, and it was filmed. You can go find this on YouTube. It was filmed for Concert Night in America on ABC or whatever. And they play all 3 bands, pretty much played their full sets. And a lot of editing to get it down into the time frame there. But if you ever want to go back and see what just like peak hair metal chaos looks like, you can find that video on YouTube. Just search Warrant Cajun Dome, and it should pop up. I think in 1991, right before the end of the hair bands. I think that in came the nuke known as Nirvana around that time, shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
and a lot of people blame Nirvana for killing hair metal, and I used to also because I was a little more short-sighted. Hair metal killed hair metal because, we talk about AI,
right?
You know how you go in and you edit AI and it becomes a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and then it doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like anything original by the time.
It doesn't appear to be the same thing when it started.
Correct. That's what happened with hair metal by 1990, 1991, is it became a copy of a copy of a copy, and you could tell it was just like a bunch of boy bands thrown together by record labels pretty much. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this. Winger And I know they caught a lot of hell because of Beavis and Butthead, but Winger's a really good band, like some like amazing musicians. I mean, phenomenal musicians. Yeah. They had never played a concert together before until I think their first show was opening for Kiss, maybe whatever their first big tour. They were put together by a record label. Kip Winger was Alice Cooper's bass player, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah, Alice Cooper's bass player. Slaughter, same thing. They were sort of put together by the record label. They were Vinnie Vincent, who had been in Kiss for a little while. Mm-hmm. He had started the band, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Well, the guitar player, the bass player, Mark Slaughter and Dana Strum were the bass player and guitar player. And I'm not sure if Blas Elias, the drummer, was the drummer or not. But anyway, Slaughter spun off from Vinnie Vincent because he was such a weirdo. The record label ended up giving them a record deal. And that's how Slaughter came. And their first ever concert together was on an arena stage, which is so rare.
It's almost like they took them, put them all in a bowl, shook them up, and threw out like 4 or 5 bands, and then they all looked and sounded the same.
They did, and I love Slaughter, and it's funny. Those are the bands. Some of those bands are still together today. I think Winger's doing a farewell tour, or just did a farewell tour. They said they may still do some festivals and cruises here and there, but they won't be doing any more tours. Slaughter's still out there touring, but some of those bands were just kind of thrown together, ended up, being still sticking around. Now, some of them, like the Slaughter, those guys knew each other. They were already in a band together. Yeah. But so they weren't quite the same thing. But the first time they played as Slaughter with Mark as the singer instead of the guitar player was I think opening for Kiss on the Hot in the Shade tour. I think that's funny. Kiss has got a history of some of these bands getting their first show ever opening for them. Another one I was watching last night, there's a really good, and we're going to pivot off of music here in a minute, but guys, we've been talking so much race and culture stuff here lately and all that and murder and everything. I'm having to mentally detox for a second here and talk about things I actually like and enjoy. And music and live music is my number one thing other than family. I watched there's a great YouTube channel called Rock and Roll True Stories. I recommend anybody that likes little short music documentaries, especially about rock, to follow it. And they did one last night, and it may have been an old one. It's the first time I saw it. Mm-hmm. It came up it just started playing. And it was about the band Autograph. And they had that one hit, Turn Up the Radio.
Yeah.
That's a band who's had a very similar story of they didn't just get thrown together. They were from Hollywood, from California. They were a bunch of really good touring studio musicians, and they've been in other bands and stuff. They were a little older, actually. The guitar player was a guitar teacher at like MIT or something like that. Really, really great. He kind of invented the double tap stuff.
Virtuoso, as you might say.
Yeah, he actually invented his last name was Lynch, but it ain't George Lynch, like Steve Lynch, I think. He actually kind of invented the double tap that Eddie Van Halen made so famous. But anyway, with all that said, somehow I know that their drummer and David Lee Roth became good buddies and became jogging buddies. Well, the drummer and this band had never played a show together. Keep in mind, they jammed together, they practiced. They never played a show, but they cut some demos. They didn't even have a name. Well, he gives David Lee Roth their demo. Roth likes it so much, he made them the opening act on the 1984 tour. Their biggest tour Van Halen's ever done.
Yeah, it's huge.
The Jump, all that, the biggest tour they've ever done. Roth made Autograph the opening act. So the first show is in like Jacksonville, Florida, or somewhere in Florida. The band is driving themselves across country to go make this show. They don't even have a band name yet. Each member wrote down on a piece of paper 5 names. Autograph was the one that was the last, and they would scratch off the ones they didn't like. Autograph was the last one that was left. And, of course, the first couple shows, they got bottles and stuff thrown at them, and they were paying for all this out of pocket to even go do this tour. They were making a couple $100 a show, but they were getting to play in front of a sold-out arena, opening for Van Halen on their biggest tour ever. And here's this band from out of nowhere, didn't have a record deal, nothing. Just David Lee Roth liked the drummer because they were jogging buddies, and he liked the songs that on the demo he gave them. And they didn't even have Turn Up the Radio yet. So they played Madison Square Garden on the tour. I think Warner Brothers or one of them, Geffen, one of the big record companies were there, liked them so much they signed them backstage. They pulled them off the tour, sent them to the studio, record an album. Turn Up the Radio becomes a pretty big hit. It's a bigger hit now than I think it was then. I think it peaked at like 19 on the charts back then. But that's actually when that meant something. Mm-hmm. Now number one barely means anything because of streaming and everything. But they never were able to replicate that success. Obviously, broke up a few years later. Now it's just this weird watered down version of the band with no original members and all that good stuff. But I thought it was pretty interesting because the drummer became friends with David Lee Roth. They were jogging buddies. Gives them a demo, and they didn't even have a band name as they're driving across the country to open for Van frickin' Halen at the peak of their fame.
I wonder how that conversation went after that was over with, and he got asked, "So, what was your first concert?" Well, we opened for Van Halen.
Yeah, for the whole tour.
For the whole tour.
Well, they minus like the last leg of it because they got the record deal and got pulled off. And, you got to think how short-sighted that was for the record company to pull them off the big tour. No. Leave them on the tour to finish it.
Yeah.
What does it hurt?
Let them get some exposure and then bring them in.
Yeah, because they can go play in front of 15,000, 20,000 people a night for 2-3 more weeks.
Yeah.
What does it matter in the big picture? But anyway, there's your music segment of little useless rock and roll knowledge for you from the brain of Clay Edwards. Let's take a break, come back, hit the reset button. I promise we'll get back to all the angry, depressing stuff on the other side of this break. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at, how about our friends right there at Anglin Plumbing. Reach out to Dylan and his team today, anglinplumbing.com. That's ANGLIN plumbing.com. Let them come out, take care of any plumbing problems you got, whether it's water going through that pipe or gas going through that pipe. They got you covered. I actually talked to Dylan yesterday, and my parents got a new grill to replace their old grill, which is hooked up to natural gas, and I need them to come out and hook that up, and they are going to. As soon as I send them some pictures of exactly what kind of grill we got and what kind of connections it needs. So good stuff there. I recommend them, and I use them myself. That'll be the second time I've used them since they've been on the show. I hope you guys are. That's Anglin Plumbing for any job. There's not one too big. There's not one too small. You're doing a new construction, they got you. You're doing a complete remodel, need to rip out all the plumbing, start over from scratch in a pre-existing building, they can do that too. They just got through doing a 60-unit apartment complex up in the Golden Triangle area. So they can get you taken care of, and they're always hiring. Looking for a new career, something that's AI-proof, something that is, you ain't going to be replaced by no foreigner, no illegal. Reach out to it. You may get replaced by a foreigner, a legal foreigner. But, you want a legal, you're a legal immigrant, come on in. Get what you're here for. Get a job. Reach out to them, man, anglinplumbing.com. I'm telling you guys, if I give you any advice, man, learn a dang trade. Learn a trade. Do not go waste your time going to college unless you're going to be something specific. Don't go get no general degree. Them general degrees ain't doing nobody no good no more. They ain't doing nobody no good. Go and learn a trade, and it will pay for itself. Well, because it don't cost anything, unless you go to trade school. But you can usually go get an apprenticeship for most people, especially at these plumbing companies and some electrical companies too. So check them out, man. Anglin Plumbing. All right, let's read a couple texts real quick before we pivot, because some people said some fun stuff. Nate says, "Man, crazy 8, great times. Let's check out the Ellis Autoplex text line. Lloyd took the time to send this, so I want to take the time to read it. Lloyd says, fun fact about Warrant. They played the Coliseum on July 22nd, 1989, headlining with Kingdom Come. See, I missed that show. I forgot about that. And only sold about 800 tickets. It was still a great show, and Jani announced that he wanted to continue the show at the Town Creek. They did, and it was even more fun that night. Those are some of my favorite kind of stories. Yeah, I missed that show. I was a little young. Mom didn't let me go to that one. And it was so weird, Kingdom Come playing a show. Didn't they die in a plane crash or didn't something tragic happen to Kingdom Come? Because they were like right on the verge of success and went away. I think that they died or something. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's right. Or maybe somebody in the band died. So let's see here. Somebody says Europe and Tesla were very underrated as well. I don't know if they're underrated. Honestly, I think they're actually very perfectly rated. Tesla is still selling out 3,500 seat venues as a headliner and out co-headlining with Motley Crue this summer on their Carnival of Sins, 20th anniversary Carnival of Sins tour, whatever it is they're doing. So I think Tesla is perfectly right where they're at. They have a bunch of great songs, and I always loved having these conversations that people mention in other bands because I kind of get a little brain freeze in the mornings. But yeah, Tesla, man, Not What You Got, What You Give, one of my all-time favorite songs. And of course, their acoustic album with Signs and all that on it, just great stuff there. And let's see here, read one or two more texts. Somebody said, for the love of God, don't forget Skid Row. No, look, Skid Row was one of the few bands from that era to have an album debut at number 1, or really to have any success during the peak of the Nirvana era. When Slave to the Grind came out, that was 91, when Nirvana was already out, and they went out and they had a number 1 album that sold 2 million copies and did a big headlining tour. That was a success. And they took a little band out with them that you may have heard of. Maybe you didn't at the time. People were like, who is this heavy band going out with Skid Row? A little band called Pantera. Yeah, Pantera opened up. Their first big tour was opening for Skid Row on the Slave to the Grind tour. The rest is history there, right? Cowboys from Hell. A lot of people don't know Pantera was a hair band before they were Pantera. Different lead singer. But I always think that was kind of cool. All right, so there's your 80s music roundup for the day. We could talk about this every day, but I don't know how many listeners we'd have left by the end of it. So, WNBA. Man, we have already ran through the first hour here almost. Let's start here. Wrong article. Here we go. So, Sophie Cunningham. Then Dejanay Carrington. There's a picture of, y'all been seeing it. I'm not going to get into the actual play-by-play. She tried to murder Sophie Cunningham, this angry black woman, angry black stud, tried to murder Sophie Cunningham on the court. The Florida Attorney General said that if this is why the WNBA doesn't play games in Florida, because he would have pressed assault charges. He would have arrested her for assault. And it absolutely is, because you go up to block like that, or to get a rebound like Sophie did, whatever it was she was doing, you leave your body defenseless. And the girl comes in and just clotheslines her from the back and just tried to kill her. I mean, it would have flagrant too. She should be suspended right now. But all that aside, she goes on there as like white privilege because she got a foul. Called it white privilege because she got a foul. And then she came out after that, and I don't have that screenshot here, and she goes, I love a trans foul. And it's like a foul in transition, But she was a very political statement.
I don't think that quite went the way she thought it was going to either.
No, it's blown up on her. Now she's become the butt of all jokes, and she wanted to be famous. She wanted to get hers. Well, she's getting it, isn't she? You know what I think is funny is Dejanay is kind of me and a buddy of mine's made up culture right name. It's like our generic culture right name. When we can't, Daquan. We need to think of one that Dejanay. It kind of checks off all the boxes. Not how I would have spelled it. It would definitely had more vowels if I had spelled it. But she spells it Dijoni. How many vowels is that? 1, 2, 3. But Ioai. Damn, she's still got 4 vowels and that short of a name? There's only Dijoni. There's only 7 letters and 4 of them are vowels. Dejanay. Stop. Stop with these dumb names. I mean, I have a theory about how they come up with these names. They take 50 letters. They take all 26 letters of the alphabet. They have about 50 of each. They throw them in a fishbowl. You take a card out of a card deck. You throw it on the table. And whatever number it is, 6 or higher, that's how many letters you got to pull out of there. And they got to make it work like Scrabble. And that's how we ended up with all these dang. And obviously there's more vowels in this fishbowl than anything, apparently. Thousands of vowels. Only 2 or 3 of each of the other letters, apparently. Because, man, they love their vowels. Anyway. They love the D's, JA's, JE's. apostrophes. I digress. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. We're gonna stay on this WNBA topic for a while. I got several videos I want to play. Coaches saying dumb stuff and more. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. The Clay Edwards Show here for our little short segment before we go to our top of the hour break. We got some funny chats here. Patrick Warner says, "You people's fragility is showing." And he was replying to somebody and says, "It's obvious you know nothing but to blame everyone other than the Republicans, who have a supermajority, and the governor is Republican. They have control in Mississippi, so who's being silenced?" Yes, they have control in Mississippi. They don't have control in Jackson, Mississippi, or the Mississippi Delta, or any of the other third world hellholes in this state. They don't want help there. They don't want to be fixed. They dang sure don't want to be saved. You know what they say? Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. The money ain't in the medicine. I'm sorry, the money ain't in the cure. The money is in the medicine. They need sick people or culture rot or crime to continue making money. They don't need a fix. They don't want to solve the problems in Jackson. If Jackson wanted to fix the crime in Jackson, they wouldn't have hired a dumbass woke police chief. They don't want to fix the problems. They want to make them worse. Then they get more federal funds. Then they get to always blame it on somebody. Oh, it's the white man's fault that we keep killing one another. That dang white man coming through here hanging black women from trees on Road of Remembrance. Y'all are stupid. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Goes Let Dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. The Clay Edwards Show. Streaming worldwide over on the Mazda Jackson live stream. This segment is brought to you by our friends over at Live Better Men's Health and Wellness. Guys, look, I talked about it at the beginning of the show just for a brief second, but get over there. Let's take advantage of those free testosterone screenings. And gosh dang, it's so much more than just free testosterone. They're offering concierge health service. Are you tired of going to the doctor? Do you want to go to the doctor when you're not sick and actually maybe do some preventative health checks and stuff of that nature to avoid getting sick? This is the kind of operation that is. And yes, if you get sick, you can go, or you can text them and say, "Hey, here's my symptoms." And if everything checks out, you ain't got to go to the doctor. They'll call in your prescriptions for you. Oh, yeah, boom, let's do this. How nice would that be? That'd be great, wouldn't it? Worried about a copay? There ain't no copay. They don't take insurance. Small little nominal monthly membership fee, no contracts, and boom, you've got a general physician. You don't have to do any of that nonsense. Going to these minor med places and all that, having to sit around sick people because you need to get your Ambien refilled or something like that, you know, or your anxiety medicine or ADD medicine or whatever. Do you really want to go to a doctor constantly for that? Have to sit around sick people? No, you don't. Reach out to Scott and let him get you hooked up. They explain everything they do, how it works, the legalities of everything, kind of how, you know, what you can do, what you can't do, and all that. And you're going to be blown away, and you're going to be healthy. Knock on wood, I don't get sick too often nowadays because I do a lot of preventative maintenance. Text Clay, 601-633-9017. 601-933-9017. That testosterone, man, it is the fountain of youth, in my opinion. All right. Let's pick back up on the WNBA stuff here. I want to play a video of a coach. This is the coach of the Indiana Fever. This is the coach, the team that Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark are on. And keep in mind, it was Sophie Cunningham that got clotheslined by the crazy Dejanay. Let's listen to the coach here, and there's going to be getting into a little of the transgender stuff and all that, and we'll talk about all that stuff. So if you don't want to hear about any WNBA drama, now's when you might want to sign off. And I know today's thumbnail, if you're watching on the live stream, today's thumbnail was talking about the Muslim judge. We may or may not get back to that topic. We'll see. That was the thumbnails from yesterday. This is Indiana Fever head coach. I don't know her name. It doesn't really matter.
For those people that are in this room, this is more for an online community that's trying to create narratives that simply don't exist.
Yes, they do.
Trying to create a fabrication or distortion of who I am, of what I'm about. Our players' success, our players' health and wellness, our players' safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players.
Lies.
For those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious?
Now, for y'all that don't know, after the game, she went to the press conference and took the other girl's side. Look, I don't care who you are. If you ever play sports, you know damn well the coach is supposed to take their player's side, right, wrong, indifferent. Unless it's just so egregious, like they ran out to the middle of the court and punched somebody in the face. Then, okay, yeah, all right. But, man, you got to ride or die with your people. That's leadership. But what do you expect out of a bunch of rainbow supremacists?
Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time.
Were there any
I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them.
Did you hear that cuck reporter? I'm sorry. Hey, Pop, but he was going to ask a question, and she wasn't finished. Shut up, a lesbian's talking.
10 toes down all the time. All the time. They know that. It's a shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing. Because they are fucking playing.
Hard stop. I was trying to pause it right before that anyway. I wanted to say something here. I really got to start listening to these things before I play them, don't I? So, you would think at a WNBA press conference there would be curse words. Anyway, why wouldn't there be, as a matter of fact? Creston, let me ask this. Now, my sister grew up playing softball. We had, my dad coached softball for every bit of girls softball for 20 years. Let's talk about girls sports for a second in general. Why do so many females that play sports turn into lesbians? I mean, I don't know if there's any study out there that shows this, but female basketball players and a lot of softball players too, in particular, turn into lesbians. Now, I'm sure some cheerleaders, go through a phase, the girls kissing girls phase in college kind of stuff, I'm sure that happens, but I don't think they turn into quote unquote lesbians. They don't go full stud. What is it with girls sports that makes so many girls gay? And this is, I don't know, maybe not asking you this, but you're welcome to chime in. Women out there that played sports, did they ever make you gay? Was it just being around women all the time? Being in the locker room with women? What is it? And it makes me ask the question, why doesn't this happen in men's sports as much as it happens in women's sports? Or does it? And we just don't know.
That's probably the more important question. Does it happen and we just don't know about it?
I mean, is the NBA just a traveling grinder app convention? Big grinder hookup party from city to city? Google what Grindr is if you don't know. The only reason I know is because apparently every time there's a Republican convention anywhere, the Grindr app crashes because there's so many incognito gay Republicans. I'd always say, that's what they always say. And I'm like, no, it's the liberal media covering the convention. But let's finish this. Well, no, we're not going to finish the video. At the end of it, she tells everybody to go to hell. So that's your WNBA leadership. I have a serious question there about the sexuality. I'm not hating on people being gay, by the way. If you're gay, you're gay. It's fine. Be as gay as you want to be. Where I have the problem is when it has to, when you're gay becomes political. Like when I have a saying, gay can be what you are, It doesn't have to be who you are. And gay's just the example. Like, whatever your thing is, it doesn't have to be who you are as a person. It doesn't have to be what you wear. Like, if you had to print what your beliefs are on a shirt, it doesn't have to be like gay. It doesn't have to be the first one. You know, like world peace. I don't know, anything human. Like, nobody cares who you screw. Like, that does not matter to people. Do what you do. Nobody's stopping anybody anymore. We're so past that as a country of stopping people from sleeping with whoever they want to sleep with. Why is it a political statement now?
I wish it wasn't, but it is. And it seems that it is tied to everything that anybody wants to believe. Yeah. Either way.
Either way. And the transgender stuff in girl sports. I mean, what have y'all done to women's sports? I'm just going to be honest here. On a professional level, not amateur level. Maybe y'all need some men in these women's locker rooms. Because way too many of you are gay. Way too many. I mean, just disproportionately. Women's college basketball and pro basketball is ate up with rainbow supremacy. Ate up with lesbians. And not even normal lesbians, full-blown studs. Chicks that think they're guys. Or play the guy role, you know. Basically, they are transgender men, aren't they? That's what the WNBA is, just one big transgender man basketball league. That's why they don't care. They all think they can beat men. For the most part. Probably 90% of them. That's why yeah, we're cool with it. Because these women think they can beat men. Maybe y'all need some men in that locker room to see what a male body looks like. Y'all been around too many females with too tight of sport bras on. I mean, what do y'all do? Take ace bandages and just wrap them all around your boobs? Try to make them as compressed as possible? Put the sports bra on? I'm just trying to figure it out. What about women's sports is turning y'all into men? Can somebody answer this question? I would not let my daughters play basketball. Would not let my daughters play basketball. And again, softball ain't a whole lot better. Lot of girls turning gay that playing softball too, but a lot aren't. Volleyball seems to be okay. Gymnastics seems to be okay. But dang, women's basketball and women's, what did I say was the other one? Softball. Soccer seems to be okay. Well, it's minus our U.S. national team. But what is it about being around women all the time? I mean, look, I love women. I get it. But not these kind of, is it just the fact that y'all a bunch of 6 foot plus kind of anomalies? I don't want to say somebody's over 6 foot unattractive. I think I like tall women. You know, I'm just trying to figure out what it is that turns you all gay. You can't all say you were born this way. You weren't all, every woman that's born 6 foot tall and can play basketball ain't just magically born gay. You're not. You're converting. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's happening. I mean, even when the WNBA first started, the women were kind of pretty. Like, you go back and watch, like, Cheryl Swoops, and, you know, I'm just kind of thinking of some of the names from when it first started, and they really pushed it, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think back. I don't remember it being like the aggressive stud look. All of them look like rappers with cornrows and tattoos and doing the best they can to look like men. Like they just got out of prison or something. Brittany Griner's a great example. On God. I am not lying. I'm not just saying this. I have always thought Brittany Griner was a man, pretending to be a woman. Always. You know, frankly, unless I visually saw proof, I'll go to my grave, and I don't want to see. I don't want to see. But I'm just saying, why do they all look like Brittany Griner? They all look like men. And it's something about women's sports that is doing this? Is it the coaches you're coming across in college that are doing it? Do we need to put these coaches, these trainers, these folks, do we need to get them on some kind of watch list? Do we need to start arresting some ADs in college? Because if you go look at these big universities that have these big-time female college basketball factories, your UConns, Mississippi State at times, Tennessee, so many of these women that come out of here are coming to school straight. This Dejanay girl is a great example. There's a picture of her before she ended up at Stanford. Normal girl, daughter of a preacher. Father was in her life. She got a dumb name, four-vowel name, but was raised by her mom and dad. She's a preacher's daughter. Goes to Stanford and gets indoctrinated into African. She got an African studies degree. And then also turns into a lesbian while she's playing basketball. This is not some accident that this is happening. Somebody needs to be checked. They really do. I mean, why are so many of our daughters, not mine, I'm just saying ours, American, why are so many of our American daughters getting involved in women's sports and turning gay? Why is that happening? Let's take a break. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. Let me cut the mic off on this thing real quick here. I was asking Grok a question about that previous topic there, and I've got some pretty interesting answers there. And look, I want to say this. I don't care. It goes back to what I said a minute ago. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're a lesbian. I don't care if you're queer or whatever, LGBTQ. The T's, I do care. I really do. Something weird about that. But the others, I don't care. It is what it is. I'm just curious why it feels like so many women coming out of the same little organizations are coming out or going in straight and coming out gay. Why is that happening? Why isn't anybody asking this question? What conversations are going on in these women's locker rooms that are promoting this? Is it the trainers? Is it the coaches? Are they groomers? I'd say yeah. By a long shot, I would say yeah. Hell yes is what I would say. And we have little instances of it all across the state. Look no further than right up in North Mississippi. The preacher's daughter, I believe, was the preacher's daughter. The woman that worked at the church, the youth director at the church or whatever she was. Her name eludes me up there in South Haven, I think, that got into trouble. She was the basketball coach, and she got in trouble for sex traffic, for the relationships with the minor and going across state lines with her and this, that, and the other. And they've been she got that really light sentence where she didn't even go to jail or whatever. There's an example right there. I think you've got a lot of female adult pedophiles in women's sports that are grooming and molesting their players. I really do. There's no way you don't. It is no way. The odds are just not. The odds, the math ain't mathing. The math ain't mathing. So I asked Grok. I said, it was kind of convoluted the way I got to it, but I said, overall, what's the percentage of LGBTQ females playing basketball and WNBA? It's supposed to be college. So for college basketball, there's no sport-specific breakdown. A 2024 study of NCAA athletes found that 14% identify as LGBTQ+. Women's sports had higher representation than men. You don't think. It says for the WNBA, tracking of publicly out players put the figure around 25 to 30% in recent years. An older 2019 analyst suggested about 38% lesbian. that ain't right. That's just the ones who are publicly out. And when was that from? 2000 when? 2019? Oh, that was pre-2020, son. It's way higher post-2020. Because post-2020 is when things busted wide open. And I'm telling you, it's more like 90%. It's 90% lesbian. I'm telling you, ain't no way it didn't. Watch a WNBA game. I mean, well, I'm not going to do that, so I can't ask y'all to do that. But just pull up some roster photos online and make your opinion. These women are being indoctrinated and groomed while they're in college, probably high school, if we're going to be really honest about it. I'm guessing women's sports is pretty big, traveling sports too. I know they have the Creston. I know men's basketball, these AAU is the word I was looking for. These AAU stuff, do they have a female version of that?
Yeah, I believe they do.
I'm sure they do these big basketball camps and all that. Mm-hmm. It's time to put a microscope on these coaches, these trainers, these organizers, these chaperones that go on these trips, and seeing what's going on, that's having so many of these girls turn lesbian. It's not an accident. It ain't no way. You were talking about during the break, the Yuri Bezmenov stuff. Like you got to get the kids. You got to go after the kids. It's why the trans go after the kids so much. It's why the whole, I call them the rainbow supremacy. It's why they go after the kids. Because the overwhelming majority of those women, those lesbian women in the WNBA, are ate up with the pro-transgender. That's why they won't speak out against it. That's why the coach is getting up there defending, we would welcome transgender in this league. That's why they're attacking Sophie Cunningham and making excuses for it. Nothing's being done. Because they ain't just gay, they're indoctrinated into left-wing ideology.
And I think all she originally said was that she didn't want men playing in women's sports. I think that's all she originally said.
Well, that's MAGA coded, is what they said.
Oh.
It's MAGA coded.
So we have to look at everything through the lens of it's not what they say, it's just what they say.
Right. Right. So if anything that goes against what the left says, well, yeah, I mean, you didn't say no transgender, but you said no men and women's sports, and that's what MAGA would say. So you're MAGA. You're MAGA by proxy. Dude, I don't know how this country keeps moving forward. Because we keep having these little microaggression, that's one of their words, not mine, these little microaggression incidents that get blown up into these mega things. And I'm telling you, at some point, you're going to have another Dylan Roof type situation. At some point, you're going to have more school shootings. At some point, you're going to have an Applebee's, and I'm just using that as an example, in the middle of a majority black city, like a Jackson, get blowed up. At some point, you're going to start seeing the right, and yeah, we got crazies on our side too that are mentally unhinged. You're going to start seeing these people feel like the world is closing in on them, and that all they see every time they open up their computer or their phone is this kind of stuff. There's white people being attacked, straight people being attacked, black people breaking crimes, all this kind of stuff. Algorithm showing that on top of that, on top of that, on top of that. I mean, mine does it. I just grown enough to not let it trigger me into doing something I can't come back from. So you're going to see attacks that y'all been accusing us of forever. You're going to see them become a reality. I'm afraid. That is not what I want. That's not what I'm encouraging. But that's what happens. That's what's happening. That's what black people are doing the things they're doing. Because for the last 30 years, 40 years, the media has just been telling them every time you get pulled over, you're probably going to die by a cop. That there's a white supremacist hanging around every corner waiting to jump out to get you. Well, you keep telling people that over and over. Hell, they're going to act wild like they do and crazy and not comply and do all these things. Hell, that's how I want to act when I go through somewhere like Jackson, because I think everybody wants to kill me. The internet told me so.
More than once.
Yeah. So my point being, there's less mentally stable people out there than Clay Edwards. And that's saying something. But there's less mentally stable people out there who are going to start doing, I don't want to say fighting back, but there's going to be people who are going to start doing some really stupid stuff. And it is only going to take one. It is like, man, I was thinking about the other day, Creston, if we had a James Anderson, the guy that got ran over in Jackson by the kid from Rankin County back in the day, 2011, whenever it was. If that happened again in 2026, brother, that's like dropping a Molotov cocktail into this thing and it blowing up.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no doubt.
You wouldn't be able to leave your houses. It would be an absolute nightmare, and I'm afraid that's what they want. Like, man, you don't think the Democrats want another George Floyd, but times 100? One where a white supremacist or whatever, I don't even think no such thing as a white supremacist, but where some white person went out and thought he was doing the Lord's work by eliminating a bunch of black people or gays and blacks or whatever, because the media and the internet and his algorithm keep showing him that these are the people doing all these bad things. And so he thinks he's in the right. You don't think that's going to happen? And you don't think the reaction from the other side it's going to make what they did to J6ers look like a slap on the hand. Anybody who's in friends with them on social media, shares the same beliefs. I'm telling you, if the left ever get control again, and you're a known MAGA, I'm just so convinced that they will load us up on a train with a one-way ticket, and that's all I'll say about it. It is scary, the times we're living in, and the fact that we've gotten to this point where we can't even agree on what a woman is. And if you speak out like a Sophie Cunningham has and just says, hey, girl, men don't need to play women's sports. Why is that controversial? I mean, why?
Well, they're supposed to be getting together to have them a meeting pretty quickly here to solve that issue in the WNBA.
To decide what the definition of a woman is.
Decide what a definition of what a woman is.
Well, they backed themselves into an epic corner.
They're getting exactly what they ask for.
Because if they don't let them play, they're going to get sued.
I hope the first guy that came out and said, I am declaring for the NBA and has done it, I hope he's the first one to sue the pants off of them.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
I say, man, and what this does is it makes people like me who speak out seem like I'm hateful. And I'm not. Again, I want to say this one last time. Nobody cares who you sleep with. But, man, if we can't agree on what a man is and what a woman is, no conversation is starting off from a foundation of honesty. If we can't at least agree on that. I don't want to agree with you on anything. If we can't agree on that, I don't want to have a conversation with you about anything else. Because if you'll lie to yourself about that.
I don't think you can.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. We can't decide on what we're going to have for lunch if we can't agree on what a woman is. I'm not going to engage with you. You're an idiot. And you're doing it intentionally. Because you know what a woman is.
I never thought in my lifetime that we would be having this conversation.
Me either. And thank God if there's somebody who agrees with me, because I'm telling you, if there was somebody sitting across from me that tried to argue with me on this, we would be fighting right here on camera. I will not have this conversation without fists being thrown, because you are an idiot and you're looking at me and you think I'm an idiot to go along with it. Like, no, I think I can change his mind. No, you can't. You need to be in a straitjacket. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends right over there at, how about our friends right there at Grills of Mississippi. Swing by, check them out for all your grill needs. I got to swing by there today and order some ribs. That's right, I got to get some ribs for my little birthday gathering this weekend that my parents are wanting to do. So I'm going to order some ribs from them. They were so good, 4th of July, that we're going to do it. We're going to run it back. I want some of their pulled pork too. That's right. So, yeah, they do catering stuff. They do catering, but they also do just kind of cook to order. So if you need a couple slabs of ribs, just let them know a couple days ahead of time, and boom, you want to do ribs Friday night, Saturday night, you're having a cookout, or not a cookout, but you're having a party, don't feel like doing the cooking, let them know. They'll get you a couple slabs of ribs, pulled pork, chickens, whatever. They can do it all. Get with them on their catering menu. You can check them out, grillsofms.com. And, of course, they got you all the pellets for your smokers. They got your smokers, pellet, traditional. They got your grills, charcoal, gas. Charcoal and gas. And they got it all right there at Grills of Mississippi. About 500 different sauces, rubs, marinades, hot sauces, Worcestershire sauces, breakfast sauces. They got every spatula or tong you could imagine to cook with. They have the propane steak cookers, the broilers. They get up to like 1,500 degrees or something crazy right there. I think only like $400, man. I really want one of those. We went to Kessler Prime the other night, Creston, and I'm going to tell you, I can cook a good steak. But there's just something about going to a steakhouse and getting a steakhouse steak that's broiled at like 2,000 degrees or whatever those things get up to. A good high-end piece of steak.
Hot and fast, man. Hot and fast.
Man, it's so good. So good. So get over there to Grills of Mississippi today and become the best cook, grillswoman you can. They got the flat-top griddles, too. So go by and check out what all they got. They got some really good stuff over there. All right, so I guess we're done talking about the WNBA stuff. I didn't mean to get on that rant, but I just got to thinking, dude, it's just something ain't right. The odds of so many people that do the same thing all ending up in the same sexuality when they come out of college. There needs to be an investigation into this. There does. We got to start. Who's doing the background checks on these trainers and coaches and stuff and recruiters? Seriously. And if it's the players indoctrinating, is it the sorority they're joining? Like, what is causing this? There's a root cause, as they say. You know, does the devil just got a hold of these college campuses like that? And again, if it's happening in the women's locker room, are you sure it's not happening in the men's? I would lean towards yes. All right. Let's hit a couple different stories we got here this morning. Sean just texted me, Yerkaron. Let me ask him this. Can I announce that? All right, let's talk about this Muslim judge for a second. The backlash on this has been very interesting, Creston.
It has.
So, I want to say something just me personally. I said it a little bit yesterday, I think. Look, we're all allowed to have different opinions, different beliefs, different religions as far as I'm concerned. I expect people to tolerate the things I say and not come after my job and not harass me and my family. With that, I extend that same courtesy. I don't come after you. I don't come after your family. I give you an opportunity to show that you can do the job. If you can't, you don't need to do it. I don't have a problem necessarily with a Muslim woman getting the opportunity to be a judge. Do I like it? No, I don't have to like it. I'm just saying they didn't ask me my opinion on the thing. I didn't have any say-so.
No, they did not.
In her being hired. What I'm saying is, and it's just solely based on her statements. That's all I can base it on, right?
That's right.
Her statements that she is going to honor the Constitution of this country. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what you can do in municipal court that would necessarily make big enough waves that would be unconstitutional. You may get help there. I don't know. I mean, is there anything? What's the worst offense that's going in front of a municipal judge?
It's just going to be, traffic and stuff like that. Anything that would be a felony would be passed on up to the county level.
Yeah, because I'll just be honest with y'all. I haven't been in enough trouble to know the difference in the levels of judges and kind of which ones do severity crime wise. Mm-hmm. So I just learned yesterday about municipal judges will just kind of handle small misdemeanor stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and in the state of Mississippi, it's required that you be an actual attorney to be a municipal judge or anything other than a justice court judge. A justice court judge does not have to be an attorney. Gotcha.
So theoretically, what could she do to bring on Sharia law? And from that position, is there anything she could do that could just leave us in shock and awe?
I would say no.
Right. So, but here's what I'll say, and I agree. So here's where I think the problem comes in, is you have to ask yourself, why did she get appointed to this job? Did this come down from somebody higher? Was the city promised, some government funds from Benny Thompson? And I'm just looking at the bigger picture here, right? Get this woman appointed. Let's get her in the system. Let's get to moving her up. Then she can run for a bigger seat. Mm-hmm. She's up there in the Delta. Let's get her here. Let's get her name out there. The silly Republicans are going to give her all the free press she wants, and everybody's going to want to support her because MAGA doesn't like her. We're biting right into this. I'm telling you, by giving her all this unearned coverage.
Yeah,
all this free publicity. All of us are biting right into this. She went from nobody to now we all know her name overnight.
Yep.
Now she's got a brand. I'm telling y'all, I do this. It's why I like messing with lefties, why I like pissing the left off. Because they give me tons of free advertising. Because the people that hate them are automatically going to like me. They do most of my advertising for me when they share my videos like, this racist, blah, 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 Well, people that don't like them, like, oh, this guy's talking my talk. I like this guy. How do I find him? Subscribe, like, share. Ooh, I like those FAFO shirts. Let me buy one. Oh, he has a radio show. Let's listen to that. Let me share his videos. That's how this works. It's how the anger economy works. It's how the attention economy works. We are giving this woman a much bigger platform than she deserves by talking about it here. But that goes back to my point. Municipal judge, she can't do much. What's the next one up?
She could go to a county court, or in her case, she could go up to a circuit, which is would handle felony cases.
But she would need to live where she
that is true. That
runs
is correct.
Would do that at, right? So
yes.
She would need to move to the Delta if she was going to do it there.
Yes.
But she may not have to, right? She could run in Jackson. Jackson's definitely a place that would elect a Muslim woman.
I would think so.
We're looking at similar demographics,
yes.
Of that area there. A lot of Muslim people live in Jackson and own businesses in Jackson and stuff. So, I think a lot of blacks are converting to Islam. You're just seeing that. It is what it is. I think she could absolutely win in Jackson. What could she do to bring in Sharia law on that level? Here's my thing, too, though, right? Sharia law ain't really going to allow for a female judge, are they?
I wouldn't think so.
Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not
in
telling
my understanding of it, no.
I'm just kind of asking the questions because I don't know. And I got to see so much stuff online. Oh, you're giving in. You open the door. It's all going to go to hell. I get it. I'm not telling y'all are wrong. Please don't take that like that. I'm trying to maybe pull the fire hose out and maybe calm things, to bring the temperature in the room down a little bit, so to say. Look. I think Sean is going to. Let me see if he replied back. If he doesn't reply back, I'm going to tell you. Look, I think Sean's going to have her on his show Saturday. He just told me. So why don't y'all tune in Saturday? I'm not telling you you got to like her or nothing like that. Please, that's not what I'm saying. Tune in to Sean's show Saturday morning here on WYAB, and he's going to be interviewing Asma Ali. Am I saying it right? Asma Ali. ASSMA. Asma. There's a joke somewhere there. Ali. Anyway, he's going to have her on the show, and he'll unpack it a little bit and kind of see where it's at. But I just go back to having to think, Creston, that she didn't just say an accident. I think that she's been picked to kind of come up the ranks.
I'm wondering that very same thing. Benoit, Mississippi is not that big. It's rather small. And for her to take this job up there, I would suggest, I'm only surmising, that they don't meet very often, so she could travel back and forth to go do this job.
Yeah, so 100%. I think it was an opportunity to get the foot in the door and to get a lot of unearned press.
Yeah.
And that's what she's gotten out of this from locally, nationally. And just like we were saying, we're such a polarized country. We're so polarized that black men, who are generally speaking the most homophobic group in America per capita, are voting with the Democrats to allow men to play women's sports because orange man bad, and that's where we're at. So one side's going to go over here, one side's going to go over here, and it's just been all hell in the middle.
Well, that's the thing is there's an old saying in politics, when you raise the covers up, there's some strange bedfellows. Mm-hmm. Well, this is the culmination of that. You've got folks on the Democratic side who are siding with the Muslims to get their points across, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and then over here on our side, we're the antithesis of it. Let's take our last break, come back, land the plane for the day. This is the Escalator Show. Creston Burch. We'll be right back. 103.9 WYAB. All right, guys, I'm going to log off. No point in dragging y'all into the next break. Appreciate everybody. I didn't get to read any of the comments today. Well, not too many of them anyway. When I get to rambling, I can't see the screen. I don't pay attention to the screen. So, thank y'all. Salute.
See ya.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, I want to clear one thing up. That interview is not confirmed. Sean interviewing Asma Ali Saturday. That is not confirmed yet. So, but hey, tune into the Sean Yurtkaran Show anyway. It's always very, very entertaining and informative. And if he does have her on, it'll be very interesting to hear what she has to say. And look, I can get all piped up and hot and mad and bothered about a lot of stuff, obviously. But I am willing to listen at least once to what somebody has to say, as long as she doesn't agree that men can be women and women can be men, which I'm going to guess if she's Muslim, she don't agree with that. But how bought in is she to the left-wing ideology? That is my fear more than Sharia law. I'm just going to be honest with you. More than Sharia law, my immediate fear is left-wing ideology in this country. And the left continues to open up the door to Sharia law. I think if we can stop left-wing ideology, Sharia law, the threat of that goes away with it. If we start enforcing our damn laws that we already have in place here in this country, we won't have to worry about any of this. See y'all tomorrow.
See you.